Hello friends, welcome. Friends, I was again browsing the internet and I saw an article which was posted in Deccan Herald with the title, "If Devas was a scam, why is Starlink kosher?" Means the meaning of kosher is that why it is legal or genuine, right? So, friends, I went through this article and I'll tell you this article is totally speculative. There is no clear understanding of the subject matter, and therefore I thought that it may be an appropriate time because people may have this query because people remember what happened with Devas and there's such a big, huge, controversy erupted and people were, the UPA government lost power, and partially because of the 2G scam, partially because of the Devas scam, and it was a huge hype which was created that the government is squandering all the money away to get benefits. It was a huge corruption, and that's why this issue got blown out of proportion. Now, was Devas a corruption? I really will not give you the answer, right? But I'm going to tell you the facts, and you decide. And whether this deal which we have right now with Starlink and Jio, Airtel, is it similar to what Devas did with Antrix and what they were trying to do and what they are trying to do? To a layman, this may be quite confusing because these are very technical and nuanced subjects, and you can't really understand this with so many verbiage and languages which are listed down in this article, which I find totally speculative because there is no facts and the conclusion also is wrong. This conclusion is not correct. So let me explain, with the help of some slides. So the title of this presentation is Devas-Antrix was a scam, which people widely believe, but Starlink-Airtel Jio are not. Why? So this is what the question that I am posing, which was the same question which has been posed in that article. So let's dive into the details with some facts so that we understand what is going on. So here is a diagram which I have drawn. Here is one satellite and here are terrestrial, base station and ground, right? And this is called the 2.5 gigahertz band. I'm going to show you the structure of the band also clearly so that you understand. Now, because this diagram may become overwhelming, so be with me and explain to you one by one. One is the total bandwidth which was envisaged was 80 megahertz of downlink as far as Devas-Antrix is concerned and 10 megahertz of uplink. What does it mean? So let me take my pen because I forgot my pen, which is also a problem. So let me take my pen. I'll remove my, so here is it. So I'll just put it like this. So if you look at his, downlink means what? It is the satellite talking to the ground terminals. Uplink means what? The ground terminals talking to the satellite. And you find, interestingly, there are base stations also on ground. So it's a combined network, which is both satellite and base station together on ground, terrestrial network together on ground in integrated fashion. So that is what Devas was trying to do. So it was an integrated network with satellite and terrestrial base station working in the same frequency band. So here is the summary. Both terrestrial and satellite spec systems were intended to operate in the same frequency band. This is what Devas deployment concept is, which is called a hybrid network architecture. Okay, now let's look at what is going on as far as Starlink is concerned. And then I'm going to go into the further details of this discussion. So this gives the TRAI consultation paper gives us a preview. So in the TRAI consultation paper, there is one page where the TRAI lists down the bands which are proposed by DoT, spectrum bands which are proposed by DoT for assignment to the satellite player, which will be Starlink. So these spectrum bands, if you see, these are the bands and these are the type of the links. And there are certain remarks, you just have to forget that. Just focus on this band. You'll find that these bands are non-commercial spectrum band from an IMT point of view. These are only specific to satellite. Okay, these are not IMT spectrum band, which typically Reliance and Bharti Airtel is using to deploy their terrestrial network. So let's get back to the same diagram. If these were terrestrial network of Reliance and Bharti, and this is Starlink assumed, then what happens is that these blocks, these base stations which are on ground will be operating in a totally different spectrum band compared to the satellite which is going to operate in a totally different band. Though the structure of the satellite system is different. In case of Devas, it was a geostationary satellite system. Now, in case of Starlink, it is not going to be geostationary, it is going to be non-geostationary satellite, and therefore the height is going to be much shorter. This was 36,000 kilometers, and this is going to be maybe around 550 kilometers, probably. Yes, 550 kilometers, right? So that's a distinction. So again, let me summarize. Devas was a hybrid network structure operating in the same frequency band, 2.5 gigahertz, and the Starlink and Airtel and Jio are going to operate in a totally different band structure, because what Starlink is going to get, as if they get the license and if the TRAI comes out with the recommendation, are going to be these sets of bands, not the IMT spectrum bands. And the IMT spectrum bands is not going to be accessible to Starlink because there are no rules which have been set on ground from spectrum sharing point of view. There are a lot of complexity which can't be resolved by the proposed TRAI consultation paper, which is going to recommend soon what will be the rules of the game as regards the operation of satellite network in our country. So these are two different things. Now, why Devas was a scam? Let's answer that question. Devas was a scam because of this reason. So look at this band, 2.5 gigahertz spectrum band. Okay, and this is what I was talking about, 80 megahertz of downlink and 20 megahertz of uplink. Now let's look at the commercial structure of the 2.5 gigahertz band, and I'm going to show you that the app that I have created, which will give you the commercial structure of the 2.5 gigahertz band. So you can see that commercially this band has been allocated to what? Vodafone Idea. You see, Vodafone Idea and BSNL. I think there is a problem here because BSNL has spectrum in 2.5 in all the circles. So this diagram is not complete. So be with me. Just assume that this has been allocated to BSNL as well as to Vodafone Idea, depending on the color. The blue color is Vodafone Idea and this color is of BSNL. Now, at the time when Devas was given the spectrum or being talked about to align with Antrix, 2010, 2.3 gigahertz band auction took place. Let me show you the band structure of 2.3 gigahertz band also. So if I pull out the 2.3 gigahertz band, at that time, this auction happened. Though current structure is quite different from what the auction structure was. At that time, there was only 20 megahertz of spectrum, which was available and it was given to the operators. And it was a complete different structure at that time. And over a period of time, this band has changed, right, in structure and in quantum spectrum to the various operators. So at that time, it was around 12,700 something crores of value which was unlocked for 20 megahertz of spectrum for the 2.3 gigahertz band. And same price was levied on BSNL because BSNL was earlier given 2.5 gigahertz band 1 year in advance before this 2.3 gigahertz band was auctioned. Now, if 20 megahertz band had a value attached to it of 12,000 plus crore, which is I think around 12,800 something crores. Imagine that what the Devas spectrum would have cost. 80 megahertz plus 20 megahertz, 100 megahertz of spectrum. Multiply that with 12,000, it would be roughly around how much? 1.2 lakh crores. This was not a terrestrial spectrum. This was not a satellite spectrum. This is a terrestrial spectrum. This is not a satellite spectrum. This is a terrestrial spectrum. And Devas wanted to use this spectrum in a hybrid network architecture with satellite and the terrestrial base stations working in an integrated fashion. So, if you ask me, the technology which Devas was trying to deploy at that time of an integration of satellite as well as terrestrial together in one single band was not mature. And if you ask me today, this was a complete failure from a technology point of view because the satellite system and the terrestrial system would not have integrated with each other without having a geographical separation of the satellite system and the terrestrial system, because otherwise it would have created huge interference. Based on my experience, I'm telling you. Which means that they would have to either abandon the satellite system or the terrestrial system and go with only one particular approach. And in my view, they would have completely abandoned the satellite system and would have deployed terrestrial system on commercial spectrum of 2.5 gigahertz band, which was valued at 12,800 crores for 20 megahertz. You got it now? That is the reason why this scam. Now, in this case, with Starlink-Airtel and Jio, this spectrum is not a terrestrial spectrum because these are not getting assigned exclusively. These are being shared spectrum, and the operation which is going to happen on ground with these spectrum are completely independent of the terrestrial network which Reliance Jio and Bharti has deployed. So there is no integration. There is no way to get terrestrial spectrum under garb of satellite network, which Devas was trying to do at that time. And why do I know that? Because if you go to the Supreme Court judgment, and if this is a Supreme Court judgment dated 17 January 2022, and you read this judgment, which says that, let me just start reading this judgment, which says that, therefore, request Antrix space segment capacity for the purpose of offering SDMB service, a new digital multimedia service and information service, including but not limited to audio, video content, and information of interactive services across India that will be delivered via satellite and terrestrial system via fixed portable mobile receivers, including mobile phones, video, audio receivers, vehicle, etc. So this is what Devas was trying to do, and that's why it became a scam. And that is why whatever has been said in this article, if you look at this article, if you read through this article, it actually does not make any sense because it's a very complex technical issue, and I don't expect people to know each and every aspect of technology and the nuances of spectrum, because unless you know the nuances of spectrum, you will lead to such conclusions, which is completely wrong conclusion. Because if the article, when I was reading through it, I think the writer really don't have an understanding of the subject matter. And for the understanding and for the benefit of the viewers, I am redoing this video which I had already done earlier, right? So if you look at this this video, this title of this article, it was done earlier, and in this I have spoken about satellite spectrum strategy, how and why, and I am basically talking from the Devas scam. Though at that time this video was not that effective, it was not proper, but now since the context is clear, it is important to do that analogy, and therefore I am recording this video to get you that understanding as to why that was scam and not this is scam. And I probably think that the viewers now understand the differences, the nuances. The mobile satellite integration cannot happen in India so easily because there are a lot of rules which have to be set, and satellite players are not going to get access to terrestrial spectrum unless they participate in auction. Or there is one other way to get access to terrestrial spectrum is by the terrestrial players leasing spectrum to satellite players and then doing the mobile satellite integration. So that is the way T-Mobile and Starlink has done that integration in US. But even though there is a possibility of sharing a spectrum or leasing a spectrum to satellite operators, the terrestrial spectrum, there are a lot of technical challenges because the services needs to be isolated out. They can't be integrated. And then the technology or the standards are yet not evolved in 3GPP to do seamless handoff between a terrestrial network and a satellite network when they are working in an integrated fashion. Though there has to be physical separation between the two networks to prevent interference, which I have explained in many of my earlier videos. So friends, I think you probably understand the difference between the Devas-Antrix deal, why it was a scam, why Starlink Jio is not a scam, and I thought I'd take the opportunity to explain this clearly to the viewers. And thanks for your time, as usual, listening to this video or watching this video till the end. And I'll come back with a new video on a new topic next time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Till then, thanks a lot.